Hello, Mr. Isozaki. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
First of all, we have seen in your work an articulated experimentation of your ideas, imagination, cultures, and also forms. Can you explain us your journey, your development from the really famous Marilyn Monroe chair to the tower of Ibaraji, the art tower Mito?
Marilyn Monroe, so probably you understand, I am the generation grown up under the occupation of United States, America. So this is the reason, until the very young teenage, maybe 10, 12 years. And I grown up in completely traditional Japanese atmosphere.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we are occupied, and so-called American culture, Americanism arrived.
Okay.
So that is the reason, quite ambivalent I had.
Yeah.
Is politically, I'm very much against to this occupation, but at the same time, the culturally, we got a lot of influences.
Yeah.
So this is the Marilyn Monroe is one of that time. I looked at that is a kind of symbol of what the kind of American beauty is. That is the kind of beginning of my very, very young boys' times,
Yeah,
And
career.
after I started to architect and designing architecture, and at that time we didn't have any computers, nothing. Every lines we have to line by hand, and so-called curved rule. Which is we in Japan we call cloud form. Is something like this way, but this is completely arbitrary. We can use any curves by hand or so on for the buildings or designing object. So why not? We have something very definite, not geometry based on geometry, not by arbitrary hand. But something different. But it has probably the meaning. That was the Marilyn Monroe's nude photos. And I cut off the nude and collage that combined and created one special curved rule.
Okay.
That is the beginning. And I use, when I designed the architecture, a kind of curved form. So I use that form, and also same time chairs.
Yeah.
And with these chairs, we call Marilyn's chair.
Yeah.
And I designed some series of that.
Yeah. And what about the tower of Ibaraji? Yeah. I mean, the form is completely different.
For example, my concept or designing on architecture is very much related to the other part of the art. Yeah. For example, I admire sculptor Brancusi. Brancusi, you know that? Brancusi is a famous project in Romania. It's a so-called endless towers. Yeah. And one object and stacked in that way, and try to show not the end of the top as the height. This tower has to be continuous. Yeah. He called endless. Yeah. And when I was asked to do some tower in Mito, and I thought, why not to have this to follow the Brancusi's idea of endless, and also same time I try to start to use very simple geometries, geometric forms. Curved rule is Marilyn Monroe was okay. Yeah. So for the other parts, squares, the circles, triangles, and so on. Yeah. And for the to use triangles, and if we use a three-dimensional, it becomes a so-called tetrahedron. Tetrahedron, if we stack one by one, it becomes on the outside comes triple spirals coming that way. So so stacking over and over, that is the idea follows from the Brancusi. But triangle stacking, I don't know. I chose tetrahedron and stack.
So that tower is a masterpiece of art or a masterpiece of architecture? What do you think about?
I think the both.
Me too.
So now today is in architecture and sculpture coming very close.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be almost meeting each other. Yeah. So I think for me that is one of the idea of if one side will look like architecture, like a pagoda or like a normal type of the structure, the tall building, but at the same time a kind of concept based on the sculpture. So and it has two faces, two meanings. Yeah.
Can be looking back to your past architecture and also the newest one. How do you feel them? More Oriental, or much more Oriental, or much more Western? Are you from Occidental and Western aim, or is more the
and it's difficult to answer these questions, but that's because the idea of the East or the Orient is created by Occident people. By Europeans looking at the East, you are Orientals. So for Japanese, it is ambiguous. We didn't know anything about the West, but we created something, our own cultures. But this was looked at like Orient, and they call East. And so if East is there, then the West is on side. East meet West, West meet East, or come together, or the twins, and so on. This kind of concept or the discourses happened 19th century a lot. And Orientalism, or the Chinoiseries or Japaneseries, and so on. I hate this kind of discussions. We should escape, or we should overcome of this kind of dichotomies. Because myself, on the other ways, in Orient or in the Asian areas, there are no, in tradition, there are no idea on architecture. We had a building in any ways, but no idea on architecture. So actually my learning from book or from as an architect, concept of architecture probably started from Italy or the Renaissance period. It is a kind of a meta conceptual level we call architecture, because we have a building lot. Here you have building, in Asia we have building, but you try to find something, the more aesthetic idea on architecture, so from the buildings. So as an architect, so I really follows the Western culture as an architect. But I grown up in Japan, and I grown up learning from Chinese cultures and so on. So I understand the space or the sensibility of the form surrounding our environment. that is an Asian way to developing the space and so on. So in terms of the space, architecture space, I very much I owe to from Asian tradition, and in terms of the form of architecture or structure or technology, I owe a lot from West. So I think in my side,
fusion.
I have both, you know. So East and West, not necessarily to discuss and meet, how to integrate. Already, I have in my body.
Yeah. And the two last questions. One about museum. I really like your Gunma Art Museum. Really, the one of the most beautiful for me museum in the world. But also I like the Museum de l'Ombre, La Coruña. Can you explain us the development of your idea of museums? I mean, from 70s Gunma Museum to 90s.
Gunma Museum of Art is my first museum and building architecture, and that started beginning of 1970s. And that time, every time I started for the new project to forget any preconceptions and start from completely nothing on the blank to create something. And that time, beginning of 1970, I thought if we faced to completely blank, like a white wall, maybe what kind of image first come out? So at that time I thought maybe square, maybe circle. So okay, square is the most simple geometries. Okay, let's take it and develop it three-dimensional, and cube it's come out. So cubic frame, if we have a cubic frame as a void, any exhibitions, any activities can be contained inside. So that is what I thought maybe we can use as a kind of basic unit for the museum, this cubic frame. That is Gunma Museum. And still after 30 years, we extended some parts more buildings, but I try to keep the cubic frames from the beginning. So this is the museum which I did, and
for La Coruña.
La Coruña, it was another situation. This is not necessary to have a kind, alternative, flexible exhibit system like a modern art. It is already program is fixed, and especially the little object. At the beginning, we call it interactive museum, which means the people come there, and push buttons and talk each other, so some computer responds and so on. This kind of interactivity is a major purpose for the museum. And also same time, La Coruña area, Galicia. Galicia is a famous place of products of granite stones, granite. So granite is very, very from the beginning, I imagine to use as the basic materials. And so that kind of several ideas come up. And finally, I visited the site at very, very bad, strong wind, with a very strong wind, and almost stone it was. And I look at on the rock, maybe there are kind of a strong wall and facing and the wind, but at the same time so not necessary to be flat. Maybe this is a curved form would be the much more I think interesting form to respond this kind of nature. Yeah. So that was the next step to develop from the idea.
We talk about granite stone. What the effective importance of material and new materials in really contemporary architecture?
I like to use traditional materials. Basically, stone, of course, wood, and ceramics, roof tiles and covers ceramics. Those two materials I like to use. And wood, of course, but wood is limited today to be used. My cottage in the mountains I use wood and so on. But public building I could use only two. Also, same time, try to use new materials. For example, you said Mito Towers, Art Towers. Mito Art Tower probably is the first building in the world which use titanium. That time, titanium is just a completely new product just coming out. So there are no price in the market. So and only they use the watch or the golf bars and so on, not for architecture. And so they were thinking could be used for architecture, but no idea. So I negotiated the very reasonable normal cost. Otherwise, that is a solid titanium. That is covered by that Mito Art Tower. Not like Bilbao. Bilbao's is corrugated materials. And titanium is very thin, micro millimeters on covers. But Mito is just thick.
It's the structure in titanium.
Structure itself is steel, but the surface of the
titanium. Okay, it's very interesting. So I thank you very much for this interview, and I say hello. And if you want to look and see this beautiful city as it Genoa. Okay, thank you very much.
I like to move around this beautiful town.
So thank you, Mr. Isozaki. Thank you very much.
Thank you.